So cold hands, cold feet, and generally feeling cold is something that a lot of people seem to really struggle with. And this is something that's only exacerbated and exaggerated during the wintertime when obviously it's a bit colder. We don't spend perhaps as much time outside or moving or whatever. It's less sunlight. So I'm going to share with you a couple simple things that you can do that should hopefully really help to improve the quality of your blood and your chi flow. Basically, the first thing we could look at is eating regular meals. So eating regular meals at regular intervals, not skipping meals, not skipping or going really long periods of time, because sometimes, at least in a day-to-day energy type of way, people get deficient in blood and chi oftentimes because of this. They skip meals, or they don't eat enough, or perhaps they eat while they're staring at their phone or staring at a TV, which over a long period of time actually undermines the quality of the blood that we're building. So part of it is just eating regular meals throughout the day and not skipping meals, and particularly paying attention to breakfast so that we're setting a good tone for the day. Another corollary to this is sleeping rhythms. Going to bed ideally before 11 p.m., being asleep before 11 p.m., and waking up early, and having a pretty regular rhythm in that way. And avoiding a lot of stimulation late in the evening, because this can really have a negative effect on the quality of our blood and our chi, because at nighttime it's naturally more yin. Everything wants to kind of calm down and relax, but we're getting hyperstimulated watching like Game of Thrones or whatever before bed. It's generally gonna have a negative impact over the long term. Another major thing is ditching cold and iced foods and drinks. So for some reason, people really think salads and smoothies and fruits and all this cold food is really healthy. But from a Chinese medicine perspective, obviously some is okay, some is good, especially in the summertime. But when it's wintertime, it really makes it makes no sense whatsoever. And this is kind of obvious. Things that are warming and have some heat to them move things. Things that are cold tend to slow things down. So if we're already dealing with cold, it's already winter, it doesn't make sense to be doing cold smoothies, doing ice creams, doing salads and fruits and all these things that people do that are cold. So maybe at least for the winter time, just ditch that and eat hot food. And when I was first really getting sensitive to this, basically, and even still I can kind of feel it. If I start to feel a little bit deficient, I'm like, all right, I need to eat. I eat, usually I'll feel better, but let's say I have like, I don't know, Mexican food or something that's like room temperature. So it's like tacos and guacamole, which is kind of like room temp to cold. I feel kind of good, but not that good afterwards, depending on, you know, what was going on in that day. But other times, let's say I eat something that's actually hot and warm, then I actually will start to feel a better kind of heat flow through my body, and it's a much better sensation. So eating hot food, warm food, and by hot I don't mean spicy, because this is something that a lot of people get confused with. Is like, oh well, I'm gonna have a fruit smoothie, but I'm gonna put cinnamon in there and that's gonna warm it up. I'm gonna put ginger in it or cayenne pepper. That's a tremendous confusion of terminology and understanding of actual energetics of food. So, and oftentimes in actually tropical climates, they eat spicy food because it's cooling. So this is something people generally don't understand. So please don't fall into that category and try to cheat. Basically, just eat hot food. Really simple, and follow regular intervals. And then another thing is regular movement. So it's another big thing is sometimes blood doesn't move because we don't actually move. We don't move on a regular basis. So this is a really key thing, to have regularity and rhythm with the way we sleep, the way we move, and the way we eat. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be necessarily super extreme or intense. Just walking for 20 or 30 minutes could be good. Just knocking out like 10 or 20 burpees, doing a few sets of 5 or a few sets of 10 or 15 or 20, depending on how fit you are. And that takes maybe 10 minutes, but can have a huge impact, especially over the long term, on actually our blood and our energy flow. Another major thing is drinking Gynostemma tea. For one, it's a hot beverage, but also the way Gynostemma can have positive effects on our blood flow, our circulatory function, our heart function, as well as basically sort of chi flow throughout the body, anti-inflammatory effects. And it's just really cheap and easy to use and tastes really good and has a lot of benefits. So for this, I would recommend HyperionHerbs.com, which is obviously my company. Check out the website below. Highly recommend that to add in. You can drink it with your meals. You can drink it in between meals. You can have it before bed. You can have it in the morning. It's a really very versatile, adaptable herb that you can be using. Another thing is at the end of the day, if you want to wind down, do a hot salt bath. And the heat doesn't have to be excessive to where you're sweating, but somewhere where it's actually warm. And one thing that people generally do is they're like, oh, I'm gonna do a salt bath. I put a cup of sea salt in there, a cup of Epsom salt. It's like, use the whole bag. Epsom salt is like a few dollars for a big bag. Use the whole thing. Like, have an actual effect. And if you actually use 1 or 2 bags and you have the temperature right, you'll feel it. It should relax you and you should have a noticeable effect, and that should help knock you out, release muscle strain and tension, and help you get into more of a yin state to get ready for sleep. So highly recommend adapting these things, which are actually just good advice regardless of the season. Even if it's summertime, this is still applicable. Regular meals, regular sleep, regular movement is just really important. Another thing I would add is excessive emotional upheaval and excessive strain, and basically just being in your head all the time. That has a really negative effect on blood circulation and blood flow. And I feel this in my own body. Let's say I've done some training and I have this thing going on and I have really good blood flow. My hands and my feet are just toasty. My whole body feels evenly warm from head to toe. No real like cold patches. But then, like, let's say I sit on the couch for like half hour or an hour watching something. So basically all the blood and energy starts to just go to my head and I'm all up here and stimulated. And then I feel like, oh wait, I'm starting to get a little feeling the temperature go down and things kind of change in my body. And taking that to even more extremes has more effects. So you can pretty much get a good picture where, let's say, like most people in the modern age, people exist mostly in their head. They're constantly ping-ponging and getting stimulated emotionally from all these things in the external world, plus their thoughts. Then maybe they're skipping meals. Then they're like, I'm gonna be healthy, so I'm gonna eat a lot of smoothies and salads and fruits and raw stuff, and that's gonna be good for me. But I'm gonna add cayenne pepper and ginger or something, or I'm gonna drink hot tea occasionally. And then they're kind of not really doing regular movement. You can look at all of that, stretch it out over a period of time and see that generally what we're training the body to do is probably less than healthy and efficient for the long term. So anyways, check out HyperionHerbs.com or the link below in the video to get some Gynostemma tea. Highly recommend that. Also good herbs would be like Hushawu or cordyceps. Very good to take in the wintertime as they nourish the kidneys and the lungs. So anyways, thanks for watching this video and I'll talk to you soon.